Whoa, welcome to Reynolds Rapp Sports Podcast. I am your host, Reynolds. It's been a minute. Be like, brother, man, you doing these videos every 3, 4 days. Hey, listen, man, life be life and right now, but you know what? We're getting it together so we can be a little bit more consistent. That's the plan. But for now, let's stick to it. We're going to be talking about Matthew Berry's top 10 fantasy football quarterback list. Now, listen, when I started this channel, it was basically to talk about sports. But my main thing is fantasy football, y'all. I love me some fantasy football, and you do too. And this channel is going to be geared, at least for the summertime, of being able to help you guys get through and helping you out with your fantasy football leagues, whether it's drafting, who you should be looking out for, wide receiver twos, threes, fours, tight ends, two, threes, four, running back two, three, four, because those guys are important. You can't forget about the others when it comes to fantasy football because things like injuries, suspensions, life happens in fantasy football, and you got to be prepared for it. So, but today we're going to be talking about what Matthew Berry put out there in the world, which was his top 10 quarterback list, which I disagree with, by the way. Just a tad. There's a few quarterbacks who were top 10 in fantasy football overall last season. We didn't make his list this year. We'll be breaking that down. And talking about future things to come. Actually, I plan on doing a Matthew Berry's way too early running back list, wide receiver list, and tight end since he put it out there in the open for us to discuss. So we're going to talk about that. But for now, what we're going to be doing, we're going to be breaking down some of these top 10 quarterback fantasy football prospects for this year and see where Matthew Berry went wrong, or if he went wrong at all. Runners Rack Sports Podcast. Stay with me now. Stay with me. All right. So what I'm going to be doing is this. I'm going to bring up Matthew Berry's top 10 list. I mean, this is this guy's list here. We're going to dissect it. We're going to go through it, and we're going to see, if my man made some mistakes along the way. Going to go ahead and bring up his top 10 list. We're going to go right to it and we're going to slice and dice this thing right on up. Because at the end of the day, I mean, there's a couple quarterbacks on this list that I definitely disagree with. And I like his first two. And those guys are always going to be the creme de la creme, which is going to be Josh Allen, one, Lamar Jackson, two. Can't go wrong with either one of those guys. But the thing about getting one of those guys, 9 times out of 10, you're probably going to have to reach high for him. Whether that's second round, third round, depending upon, you know, how you choose to select your quarterback. But these guys, Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen, they're not going to last probably past the third round. Most drafts, most drafts. But I want to take a look at his 3 through 10, as we can see right here on the screen. And for folks who can't see the 10 underneath of Jackson Dart, his 10th quarterback is Brock Purdy, which I don't agree with. But I mean, with Purdy, I mean, who's he going to be throwing the ball to other than George Kittle? I mean, not only that, but Kittle himself, is injury prone to a certain extent. So pretty much his whole wide receiver core, all of his weapons are pretty much some sort of injury prone. So to have him as number 10 on his list, uh, matter of fact, I'll do this here. Let me do this for y'all so y'all can be able to see. So you can be able to see. So let me just hide this for 1 second. I'm just gonna hide that. Boom. So you can see the top 10 list. There's Brock Purdy right there, number 10. And that's something I don't agree with, and I don't believe. No, he wasn't. Brock Purdy was nowhere near. I don't want to say nowhere near. Let me not over exaggerate it, but he wasn't a top 10 quarterback in fantasy last year. And I didn't see anything that San Francisco did in the offseason to make him a top 10 quarterback this season. So I'm not sure why he's there. But my 10th, Number 10, I would probably have there. I would probably have maybe like a Justin Herbert at 10. I would take Justin Herbert over Brock Purdy. If I had to select either one of the two, I would go with Herbert. But I think Drake May is way too high. He had a great season last year, a really good season there. Super Bowl, went to the Super Bowl, things of that nature. But who's he going to be throwing to this season? No Stephon Diggs. I mean, you still got the tight ends. I heard that they wanted to, trade Keyshawn Booty out of there. And will Drake may be able to do it again, pretty much. But even still, with him having a great season like that last year, I don't believe he, as far as fantasy football points, he might have been top 10. I think he was. I'm going to take a look into that actually, just to make sure, because I wrote some things down. Um, and he might have been top 10 on that list for last year, but three is rather high. Yeah, he was three actually. He was three last season, and I don't think he's going to be three this year. I would probably have him somewhere in between seven, eight. Um, it's just the weaponry. You know, you lose a Stephon Diggs, who was a big part of that offense for him. I think he went over 1,000 yards, maybe about 70 plus catches, so something like that. And you're not bringing him back. You know, I'm not sure they did enough to replace him. I mean, you got Romeo Dobbs. I like Romeo Dobbs. He's good end zone target for Jordan Love last year and years prior. But how do we feel about that? We don't really feel too great about that at all. Um, so that's a tricky situation. That is a tricky situation there. Um, but we're gonna go ahead and let's get into this list here. As you can see, Jaden Daniels. I like Jaden Daniels a lot. He showed a lot his rookie season last year. Kind of injury prone, couldn't really get it together. His weapons, main weapon, Terry McLaurin was actually pretty hurt for the majority of the whole season last year, so he didn't really have much to work with. Debo Samuel, who's on the decline, and he has a ton of talent. Yes, he does. But at four, I think that's rather high. You got to ask yourself. I mean, who is this man throwing the ball to this season? No Debo Samuel. You got Terry McLaurin, who's on the other side of 30, I believe. They didn't bring back Zach Ertz, if I'm not mistaken. Um, who is he throwing to? Who's the running back? Who's his weaponry over there? So to have him at four, I think that's way too high, and I definitely wouldn't have him over. I mean, the way Caleb Williams played last year, I mean, I think it would be hard for me to even put Jaden Daniels over Caleb Williams, especially with the weapons that Caleb Williams has this year. I don't think I could be able to put Jaden Daniels over Caleb Williams. Um, Jalen Hurts, I like Jalen Hurts at five. No AJ Brown possibly coming back this year, but the Eagles made sure that they put some weapons around him. I mean, he has enough to still crack a top five quarterback list in fantasy. There's enough weapons for him. You still bring back Dallas Goddard. You got Lemon, who you drafted this year in the draft. You got Wicks, who you got from Green Bay. You got Hollywood Brown. You still got some pieces over there to where though you could be able to do some damage. You got Saquon Barkley now. If they use Saquon Barkley in the passing game, that would be great. And it will work for Jalen Hurts. So, and Jalen can still use his legs as well. So five, I'm not mad at him still being at five there for Matthew Berry's top 10 list. And Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow is probably the only quarterback out there who can be a top five quarterback with actually not using his legs. Joe Burrow is always going to have a ton of upside because of the weaponry that he has. And we all know that Cincinnati wants to throw the ball 40, 50 times a game most weeks. So Joe Burrow is always going to be in that top 10. And I like him there. Me personally, I would actually put Joe Burrow over Jaden Daniels and Drake May, to be honest with you. I would take Joe Burrow over both of those guys. Um, just because they throw the ball so much over there in Cincinnati to it, so it'll make up for some of the rushing that you look for and these other quarterbacks that's available, Joe Burrow can be able to do all of that with his arms. Still managed to be a top 10 fantasy football quarterback. So no worries with Joe Burrow there. Caleb Williams, though, he was actually number six in fantasy last year, total quarterback points. I like him to still be on this list. Seven is a good spot for him there. Caleb Williams, he's starting to come into his own. Now they did lose DJ Moore, who's say what you want about him. Maybe he had a down season. It's still I refuse to believe that DJ Moore didn't make things easier for Burden, I believe that they have as running back, excuse me, as a wide receiver, and Roma Doomsday, who was pretty much the breakout star there at wide receiver. So we're gonna see how they have two tight ends, Komet and Colson, who came to life last year actually as a rookie, played well for him, and I like the running back. He has a good thing in place for Caleb Williams. So him being on his top 10 list, I'm not mad at it. I think he should be on his top 10 list, and around 7, 8 is probably why I have him. So I'm not mad at that. Trevor Lawrence though, Trevor Lawrence is sneaky, man. Trevor Lawrence is the sneaky one. And the reason why he's sneaky is because we've been waiting for him to have a season that he had last year for so long, and then he finally arrived. Uh, Now, can he do it again? It's a question. And do you believe in him to want to grab him if you cannot grab any of these other guys like the Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, even Jaden Daniels? Can you trust Trevor Lawrence to put up the stats that he put up last year and to be a top 10 quarterback? Last year in fantasy, he had a pretty solid year. Finally, he didn't break. Let's see, was he top 10? He was not top 10, but he had a great season. Let's see. But actually, what's funny? This list doesn't even mention Trevor Lawrence, unless I'm going blind for sure. I don't see him on this list. Oh, yes, there he is. Actually, he was one, two, three. He was fourth in fantasy points last year with 395.6 total points in fantasy. He was the fourth uh, best fantasy football quarterback last year. So I do like him on Matthew Berry's list. He's like eight. If you can't get your hands on Lamar Jackson and the Jaden Daniels or the Jalen Hurts, Joe Burrows, or the Josh Allens of the world, fill your roster out. At least try to, and hope that you're able to get a steal with Trevor Lawrence later. I'm not mad at Trevor Lawrence this year. I like his weaponry. I keep seeing rumors that the Patriots may not grab AJ Brown because of all the things that they got going on over there with the coach and scandal and everything like that. And I've been seeing a lot lately that the Jaguars have emerged as potential suitors for AJ Brown. So look out for that there. I mean that could definitely help Trevor Lawrence, skyrocket. And then not only that, with his rushing ability, he can run. He can move and get out of the way there. So you love that. So I wouldn't be surprised, man, if Trevor Lawrence was the top five quarterback by the end of the year. So I do agree with him being on the top 10 list. Not mad at that. Joe Burrow, we went through. He deserves to be there. Jaden Daniels, I believe he deserves to be on this list, but towards the bottom. I actually think that man, I like Trevor Lawrence weapons better than Jaden Daniels. So I would actually slide Jaden Daniels maybe down to nine. Call me crazy, but it's not him. It's his weapons and what they have around him. I don't believe Zach Ertz is even there. He may have drafted a few guys maybe, but still, it's not enough for me to want to take him over, you know, Joe Burrow, Jalen Hurts, Lamar, you know, Drake May. I probably go with Jaden Daniels over Drake May. But Jaden Daniels and Caleb Williams. I mean, I think that's a toss up. I like Caleb, what they have around him better than I like what they have around Jaden Daniels. So me personally, I probably will go Caleb Williams over Jaden Daniels. Jackson Dart. My only thing with Jackson Dart is his injury history there. He got injured a lot last season. But my thing is this: how good is he really? And will he have Malik neighbors? I like what they've done in the off season. Got Darnell Mooney. You lost Wandell Robinson, who was a big piece for Jackson Dart. Pretty much a possession guy, help get those guys up the field. So who's going to fill a void for that? Tight end, I do like Isaiah Likely for him. Running back situation, what's going on with Scatterboo? Is he going to be back and healthy? And can Jackson Dart keep himself healthy? So Jackson Dart is a top 10 quarterback. He has potential, but I don't think that he fully deserves to be on this list just yet. I mean, to be honest, there's guys that's not even on this list right now that I probably would take over Jackson Dart, like a Dak Prescott. Like I would take Dak over Jackson Dart. Matthew Stafford, who was the best quarterback in fantasy last year, he's not even on the top 10 list here, which is wild to me. Uh, but I will definitely take Brock Purdy off Jackson Dart and try to find a way to slide Matthew Stafford and Dak in there for sure. Jared Goff, who was seventh in fantasy, is not even on this list. Bo Nix, who was eighth. A lot of people don't like Bo Nix. He was kind of sneaky, all right. I don't want to say sneaky good because he had his moments, to where though, he got you probably about 15, 17, 17, but then you had to wait on that 30, 28 point, stuff like that. But he put up enough to be a top 10 quarterback last year. So I'm not mad at him. And I like the weapons that they have this year. You still got Sutton. You added Waddle. You still got Ingram. Those other guys, Franklin and Mims in the back. You still got Dobbins with my man RJ Harvey. Excuse me. So I do like the weapons that they have around Bo Nix. So I'm not mad at that. But he didn't make the top 10 list for Matthew Barry at all, but he was eighth in all of quarterback points last year in fantasy. So Bo Nix, I do believe, deserved to make this list. And Justin Herbert, who was 10th in fantasy points last year. Um, I actually like what Justin Herbert has as far as weapons over what Brock Purdy's working with. I like what Justin Herbert is working with over Jackson Dart and what he's working with, unless you can promise me a Malik Neighbors will be ready by the season start, but I don't believe that. Um, so I do like what Herbert's working with. He did actually use his legs a little bit more last season and was pretty efficient doing so. To where as though it did get him a top 10, he did crack the top 10 in total points for quarterbacks last year. So I like Matthew Berry's list. I can see what he's projecting. He's projecting the future, but I definitely totally disagree with this list here. Um, but if you are like me and I won multiple fantasy football championships with some of the worst quarterbacks you ever imagined. I won a championship with Andy Dalton back in the day. This was when he was with Cincinnati in his Cincinnati days. This past season, I just won a championship with Jacoby Brissett as my quarterback. Jacoby Brissett was balling last year. Him and my guy Michael Wilson, king of the mids. And as we get into some of this fantasy football, you'll learn some of the lingo that I have. Where Michael Wilson was definitely number one on my list, where I call king of the mids. King of the mids are guys who pretty much come in, every year in fantasy football. The only thing that you really guarantee is somebody's gonna get hurt. That's for sure. On your team. So when that happens, you have to be ready for it. Then we have guys like, mid-level guys, tier guys who come in and they step up. Last year, you had Michael Thomas from Arizona Cardinals. If you want to take a look at another direction, we had Parker Washington for the Jaguars. So every now and then you have guys who just come out and they blossom. Actually, the kid, what's the kid's name from he actually showed out a little bit. Kid from Houston. Um, I want to say Higgins. I believe, yeah, I think it's Higgins, and then they have Hutchinson, but I believe Higgins was the one. Higgins was the guy who actually had a pretty decent season. Saved some. Say, look, these guys saved my week for me. And fantasy is a weekly game, and the only thing you want to do on fantasy is win a week. You don't want to be thinking. Only time you want to be thinking down the road is if you can be able to see other guys stepping up uh, week to week. That's behind some of these ones and twos, whether that's running back, wide receiver, tight end. But for the most part, you want to focus on winning that particular week. You do have to think ahead, but at the end of the day, you win your week. Fantasy football is a week to week game. So breaking down Matthew Berry's top 10 list, we broke down the list. Last year, Matthew Stafford was one. He didn't even crack the list here. Dak was actually number five. We don't see Dak on the list at all. Jared Goff was seven. He's nowhere to be found here. Bo Nix was eighth. He didn't even make the list as well. And then Justin Herbert rounds it out to be 10th last year in overall quarterback fantasy points. And he's not on the list either, even though this list is not about quarterbacks from last year. This is projecting way too early quarterback of 2026. And I honestly don't think that Brock Purdy, Jackson Dart, Drake May are going to have better seasons than Matthew Stafford, Dak, and I mean you could throw Jared Goff and Bo Nix in there, Justin Herbert. It depends on what you like. You know, a lot of Giants fans they're probably going to want to get their guy and draft their guy in Jackson Dart and cross their fingers for him to have a great season. If that's how you play, that's how you play. Me personally, I don't want Jackson Dart on my fantasy football team this year. I don't want Brock Purdy being my fantasy football quarterback this year. Me personally, I'm gonna be reaching for the stars. I want Josh Allen. I want Lamar Jackson. I want Jalen Hurts. I want Joe Burrow. I even take a flyer on Caleb Williams this year. Hell, give me a little bit of Matthew Stafford if I can get my hands on him. But that also depends on the status of Puka, though. Depends on what's going on with Puka Nakua and his situation. Is he going to be available for Matthew Stafford? We do know Devontae Adams getting a little bit older. They had a great opportunity to draft, a weapon. Maybe the tight end from Oregon they could have got, or maybe even drafted Lemon or one of these wide receivers. They decided to select a quarterback with Tosh Simpson. I hated that move for them. Um, Especially with an aging Devontae Adams. They should have definitely got Matthew Stafford another weapon. Seeing and knowing that Matthew Stafford continues to play. Uh, from what I've heard in the off season, he doesn't have any plans to retire. So if that was the case, then you should have been building a team around him to put that offense and that team in the best position to win, and they didn't do that. So I don't think Matthew Stafford is going to be number one this year. He was number one last year, but I definitely had him on his way too early list. I definitely would have taken off Brock Purdy, probably would have slid Matthew Stafford in there. Uh, I don't know how you not have Dak on this list. I'm not sure. It's subjective. Whoever you want to take off on this list and add, you're more than welcome to. But Dak deserves to be on this list. Um, yeah. So, and that's the NFL top 10 quarterbacks for you. There's a lot that we have to take into account. I will be doing, I'll probably do a live maybe this weekend coming up, mock drafting, just to see what the ADP is looking like, just to get an idea who's falling, who's being taken a little bit too early. All that matters. And doing different draft strategies to see what's available at certain rounds. I mean, I know a lot of people like to go wide receiver, wide receiver. I know a lot of people like to go running back, running back. I know a lot of people who like to go, running back, quarterback, wide receiver, like to switch it up. And we're going to be trying all different scenarios to try to figure out which way is the best way to go. Me personally, I'm a running back guy, because it gets thin after a while. Wide receiver, I mean, you can always find, a guy who's able to take you over the top a little bit. Some of these wide receiver twos, they step up and be ones. And you might be able to draft a guy who might be a wide receiver three who can slide in there, might become a wide receiver two. But with running back, I feel like, man, you got to go and grab them because it ain't that many of them, and you want to make sure. Me personally, I need at least three starters on my team. I need two guys I could put in my running back spots, and I need a guy on my bench who I know could, who should be at least a running back two, one. I could be able to slide into either one of those spots comfortably. If someone gets hurt or if someone is even underperforming. I know guys who just set it forget it guys. Main guys not performing. You got to ride the hot hand, and it depends on who you ride. I'm not always for that philosophy. If a guy's not producing, man, sometimes you gotta get their ass up out of it. So we're gonna be looking at all that, man. We're gonna be breaking things down, um, and we're also going to see what's going to be the best way to go this year in fantasy football. So this is Matthew Berry's top 10 quarterback list, way too early list. I expressed to you a couple quarterbacks who should be on this list that didn't make it. Matthew Stafford, Dak, um, maybe even a Justin Herbert. I mean, you can go Jared Goff as well if you're into that type of situation there. Um, yeah, so this year fantasy football, man, is going to get a little dicey, but I am going to try my best to try to be here, break down some of the fantasy football stuff, and we're going to stay on top of everything fantasy football related. And I believe you should look out for the running back video that should be coming out soon. I'm going to do a running back video. Same here. We're going to be breaking down Matthew Berry's top 10 running back list. I'm going to give you the top 10 running backs who led the league in fantasy last, who made his list, who didn't make the list, and uh, and I'm looking forward to coming back with you guys and breaking all down, man. Reynolds Rap Sports Podcast. We are here. I'm gonna try to keep it consistent here, and not let life get in the way too much, man, of being able to get some of this good content out to you.
Wrap it up. We're done.
With that being said, it's a wrap, y'all. Reynolds Rap Sports Podcast, man. Hopefully you guys come back with your
Wrap
boy.
it up. We're
And
done.
yeah, I was supposed to be trying to get up this. It's acting real funny for me right now. Oh, here we go. Look at that. Here
Wrap
it is.
it up. We're done.
We're done. So that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to wrap it up. But you know what? I'm going to work on trying to get that to come on to you next time when I need it to. Appreciate you for joining the video. Look out for that running back video that should be coming out soon. And I appreciate you guys for hanging in there with your boy Reynolds. Be out.